It's Bill Krackomberger and Rosalie Michaels on the Wisecrack Sports Betting Podcast by WSN.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wisecrack Sports Betting Podcast by WSN.com. And this show is all about sharpening and entertaining all of you bettors out there. We talk strategy, sports, picks, and every week we have a special guest from the world of sports betting. Bill Krackomberger, my buddy, he's been a professional gambler for over 25 years. And Wisecracks is your chance to tap into a little bit of his wisdom every single week. I'm Rosalie Michaels, and I'm a daily fantasy sports analyst, and I'm proud to be sitting here alongside the Crack Man himself to bring you a brand new episode. Hey, Crack, how's it going? How's your week going?
Good, excellent, Rosalie. Yeah, fantastic. Big show on tap here. It's getting ready to, be the big action out here in Vegas. People are getting pumped up. We need this NFL season to start and continue, and also finish. So, yeah, happy to have this kind of show here. Happy for the viewers, happy for the listeners. Good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm actually out camping right now. It's the only time I get to actually get away is right before the football season. So I've taken a little time, getting a little nature, letting the hair be natural. I call it my Shakira look. How do you think? No makeup. You're getting the real deal this week, Crack. All right. So we got a lot, you said, a lot to talk about this week because we're going to be talking about in our strategy session this week, the betting football contest, which I know we all know and love. With NFL coming up, the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest, a lot of people know about that, but we've got more to talk about. And then we're going to have, after our strategy section, we're actually going to talk to Jay Kornegay and some others who manages that sports book out there. And then, of course, we get the new pick from Crack for this week and answer our Twitter questions. So you ready for this main strategy session, Crack? Because I know there's a lot to talk about and cover here, right?
Yes. And again, just to further reiterate, yes, Jay Kornegay, who runs the big super contest at the Westgate. And we're also going to have Derek Stevens, who's the owner of the D and the Golden Gate downtown and the brand new Circa. And then we're going to have Kelly in Vegas, who's also heavily invested in these contests because she has a giant proxy service. So looking forward to it.
I love Kelly in Vegas. She's my girl.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have her on the show one time, too. But she runs a great proxy service, which that means people that are coming into town just to sign up for the contest, they can go back home to any of their states and just, call in or email Kelly the picks, their selections for the week. And Kelly's service actually puts the picks in for everyone.
Nice. So we'll learn a little bit more about that and how that works with Kelly herself, which will be great. All right, but let's get into what these football contests are. Now we're finally approaching the NFL season. And so this week's topic is a really fun one. This is the stuff that people really get excited about. So we're taking a closer look at the strategy behind handicapping these contests, like what your pal Jay does at the Superbook. But for people who maybe haven't tried the contest before, break it down for us in the simplest terms.
Sure. Well, these type of contests, you have to pick 5 bets per week, 5 games per week for the contest, and they have to be submitted normally on Saturday. And you could do it, like I said, through one of the proxies, or if you're in Las Vegas yourself. So you pick 5 games against the spread. The spread is put out. These cards are put out usually on around Wednesday. So you have 3 or 4 days to put your selections in, and whoever has the most at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year, some ones like the contest downtown at the Circa, they have a quarterly prize, also an end of the year prize, guaranteed. And also this year, Derek Stevens has guaranteed $3 million. So like $1 million to the winner, give or take, and also other prizes. And there's even like a booby prize for coming in last. So it's a six-figure prize too. So
wait, hold on. You get a 6-figure prize for coming in last?
Oh yeah. Listen, he's guaranteeing $3 million. He's got to split it up some way. So
wow. Because it is hard to come in dead last, right?
It's just as hard to pick terribly as it is to pick fantastically, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, it
So,
does, because most people are going to get a little bit right and a little bit wrong, right? They're going to
yeah.
ride the middle.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's the type of contest that we're having out here this year, the big contest. But there's also a lot of free contests, which I'll go into later also. So
Okay.
do we want? I guess we can jump right into the general strategy, though, right?
Yeah, before you do that though, so
Okay.
okay, so we talked a little bit about the different types. So you were talking about how like you have to have them in by Saturday. So is it only the Sunday games that you're betting in those in that particular type of contest?
If you want the Thursday games, you have to have your picks in by Thursday. Actually,
Okay,
very
got it.
bad to do that though. If you're an advantage player in these contests, you want to wait to see what happens. Any injuries can come out, some line moves the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend putting your plays in on Thursday.
Okay, so okay, that's a great piece of advice there. That's really good because a lot of times, especially early in the season, we see a number of very highlighted games. So it's going to be people that you're going to want to take, like the Chiefs, like the Ravens, are those Thursday night games. They like the big names to draw in. So
Yep.
so yeah, so that's some good advice. All right, so what is your general strategy approach to playing contests?
First, let me start off by saying this is a very hard subject for me to talk about, but I decided to make this podcast exactly about this because it hurts a guy like me that's actually entering these contests to have more competition, and
Mm,
especially to give away some of the industry trade secrets of a contest. So it's really a key to make sure you jot down some notes during this podcast, because I'm going to be giving away some really good stuff here. Let's go right into the general strategy stuff. Like I said, these lines come out 3 or 4 days before the deadline to put these picks in.
okay.
These contests should be treated more like a poker game or a chess match. And what I mean by that is you're always thinking ahead to what your opponent's next move may be.
Mm,
Rather than just picking 5 teams, you want to actually, it's almost like, you could pick up on what certain entries do weekly by tracking the plays and tracking their selections. Sometimes it's almost obvious, like a blueprint of what the contestants are going to do, because
yeah.
they may do the same things week after week. Maybe they're just picking all favorites every week, and you'll pick up on that. Or maybe they're just picking the line moves off. Like I said, these come out 3 or 4 days ahead of time. So if you have a team like the Patriots are -4, and then by game time or by entry deadline time, the game's now it's -6. They're always picking those lines off that are the bad lines. So you'll basically know what they're going to pick. Rather than just knowing what you're picking, you should put your opponent on a hand or on something.
Got it.
Listen, I definitely know it's work. It's not fun like it's supposed to be at all times. However, I just feel this is war. This is
Oh,
war. And when you're talking about millions of dollars here, this year especially, there
yeah.
has to be a commitment to put in some time and definitely some due diligence. So there's my
See, I
answers there.
actually love this part of it. I like the strategy. I like trying to outmaneuver your opponent. I think that's fantastic. It's like in fantasy football when I go and pick up somebody off the waiver that maybe I don't need, but I know my opponent does. So I just get him so he can't have him. So I like this aspect of this type of a play. So just to be clear though, with this particular contest, it's always against the spread, right? It's not just straight up.
Yeah,
Or
this
are there
kind of this
that are
this
straight up
type of
straight down?
contest goes by the lines that are posted in the sports book on Wednesday. That's usually the day that these the contest entries are opened.
Gotcha. So you're going against the spread. You're picking 5 teams for the Saturday, for the Sunday games, or maybe even the Monday game is okay
Sure.
as well.
Or even the Thursday game's fine. I want my opponents to be picking those actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you said earlier, don't do it. So I'm not
yeah.
doing it. There's plenty to pick from the
Oh
Sunday and
yeah.
the Monday game. So all right. So okay, with these contests, are there any key differences this year with the pandemic to watch out for if you're planning to bet these football contests? How are we adjusting things?
Well, yeah, there are giant differences this year because of the value that's these contests. It's an all-time high because we're in a situation here in Las Vegas where people aren't flying in now. They're not
Mm.
flying in to enter these contests. 80%. Jay told me up to 80% of the previous year's contest at the Superbook have been people from out of state. Listen,
Wow.
people just aren't flying in this year. They've had 3,000 entries in that contest. Uh, they're looking to get 1/3 of that would be a successful contest for them having 1,000 entries. So
Wow.
now that's what makes the Circa contest so special for a guy like me, an advantage player, because they're guaranteeing all that money, and they're not going to have enough people to make up that money that Derek Stevens agreed to give away. So this year's pretty special.
Yeah, that is. So if you are flying in, or we can talk about in a little bit some of the other options you might have out there if you want to get in on the action on these. So yeah, it's like when you're, like in a raffle, right? If you have less people, entering, more opportunity to win. It's really that simple, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what are the most common mistakes you see people making when it comes to these contests?
I've been playing these things for 20 plus years, and starting with Atlantic City, back home in Atlantic City. That's why I first started playing contests. You see people come in and they hit there's a selection on there that says quick pick, which means you can make your own picks. So this is more towards some of the free contests.
Okay.
Which by the way, there's more free contests out there than there are entry contests where you're paying an entry.
Mhm.
So the biggest mistake I see in those free contests are people picking a random quick pick and letting the machine pick the games for you. That's
Mm.
way wrong. Hard Rock here in Las Vegas has had that free contest every week, and even the ones that there's a Boyd, which is the Coast Casinos, and also Stations Casinos. So some of these places offer these free contests, and they offer
Yeah.
the quick pick. Don't do that. Secondly, just because you have favorite teams and you won't go against them every week in the contest, very wrong. Because you're not respecting the line. That's the biggest difference and the
Mm.
biggest mistake you're making. They're not respecting the line movements and the line itself. They're just ignoring that and picking their favorite team because they're Cowboy fans or whatever they are, the Patriot fans or Kansas City fans. And you have to respect that line. Again, this is war.
Your allegiance is to your bankroll.
That's right. Your allegiance to your bankroll.
So I like that. I like that a lot because you do see people do that. So it's with those quick picks, is it generally, because you just said earlier, try to think about what your opponents are going to be doing and kind of go contrarian to that in some cases, right? So if they're all lining up on the same ones, you want to be differentiate yourself so that if that.
Especially, you bring up a great point, especially if you're behind late in the season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to know what my opponent's on, because not only am I going to be rooting against him, I'm going to be trying to pick against him. I
Yeah.
want to gain a full game on him in the standings, or jump ahead of him, because I'm not only is he going to lose one, I'm going to win one betting against him. So I may have to actually mathematically go against what my thought process is. We're a team that goes from -4 to maybe -6 by game time. Normally, I'd like to pick the -4 and get the mathematical edge. However, I know these guys are also doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm actually going to take the 4 points and get the worst of it and just hope to get lucky.
Yeah, because you know that if somebody's ahead too, they're going to be playing a little more conservatively, right? They're going to want to keep that edge, so they're not going to take as many risks, and gives you an opportunity there if you take the correct calculated risks, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah,
Yep.
very good. I So let's talk about number of entries, right? Are you putting one entry in there? Are you doing multiple entries, and why?
Well, they usually have a cap on the amount of entries. Down at the Circa, it's 3 per person, and I am trying to get as many people, that I know involved and go partners with them. But then you have to actually trust them, because you're talking $1 million. So you
Yes.
have to trust, if they win under their name, that
Yeah.
that you get paid. This is a rough business, a sports betting business. So again, this is the NFL. And being that it's the NFL is it's the hardest sport to beat. I always talk about that. There's a giant luck factor involved, especially on these type of contests.
Mm,
Just put it this way: the
yeah.
Super Contest has had the winner of the Super Contest previous years has won at over a 70% rate. I think one year it was 77%. That's impossible. It almost can't be duplicated again. So
Wow.
there's a giant luck factor in these. So you have to have multiple entries and give yourself a better chance to win. But you also have to know how to lay it out, and you have to, if you want to win these type of contests the proper way, you have to have the patience and the time to lay out what you're going to be doing every week and looking at those other people's entries. You can reduce that luck factor by having these multiple entries also with different combinations. You may key on a certain team. So let's say a team is -2.5 on the entry when it comes out on Wednesday. And then by Saturday, by the time I put my picks in, that team is now -3.5 through the number one keyest number in the NFL, 3. At the more games land on 3 than any other number in the NFL. So you're actually going to take key on that -2.5 on maybe all 3 of your entries or 2 of your entries, and then you could put a mix in of other teams you may like. But maybe you want to key in on that entry. You want to key in on those entries that -2.5. And if you only have one entry, well, you can only do it once. So at least you'll have to give yourself some different combinations, and you'll know which entry you've done better on at the end of a few weeks, and you'll kind of key in on that entry and use that one as a more serious pick. Whereas the other entries, you may actually go opposite to try to gain some ground back on your opponents.
That's interesting. In DFS, we do the same kind of thing. You'll have some key players that you put in all of your lineups, and then there's some others that you kind of switch in and out. And you always do multiple lineups because you're giving yourself a better opportunity. So it's very DFS and these contests have some similarity in that,
They
right?
draw some parallels. They absolutely do, strategic wise. And the multiple entries in DFS are definitely have an advantage, just like the multiple entries in these type of contests have an advantage.
Okay. So this super contest that you keep talking about, it's a pretty big buy-in, right?
It's $1,500 is the super contest. The Circa contest downtown is $1,000. Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about the lower stakes gamblers who want to stick to your bankroll guidelines of betting only 2%. Are there other football contests that people can bet on? I know you mentioned a little bit earlier there's some free ones.
There are.
Uh,
Listen, you should join. You should check every single casino's promotional page on their website, because they always want to have focused, or they're always focused around the NFL season. They want people in the casino gambling on the weekends. Most people are off on the weekends, so they'll put some type of a contest or tournament focused around the NFL. Usually they're free. So I'll tell you right now, you don't have to put no money up for these. I know myself, I've done well in those free contests in the past. And you can have, usually it's only one per card member. So if you have a player card for that particular casino, you can only have one. But yet I see guys on the casino lines there at the kiosk in front of me with 20, 30 cards. I believe if they get caught, they get thrown out of all of them. So
yeah, I would
listen,
imagine so.
anyone could put picks in for your wife or something like that. That's
Yeah.
fine. But but you can't be putting picks in for everyone that everyone that you get cards from, every single person. So
Yeah.
it's but there's a lot of free ones, and they offer a lot of money. So it's really good to just check out the free contest around town.
Yeah, and it's a great risk-free way to kind of get introduced to these types of games, right? And learn more and kind of build your own strategy and take some of your great advice here and put it into a risk-free opportunity to maybe get lucky and win some money.
Yeah, and to further hit on that, I just thought of something. Also, the new apps that are in this country, that the Euro apps in New Jersey, Colorado, Mississippi, I would also check their sites and check their homepages. They also have some contests and some things that you may be interested in, may be worth your time, especially if they're free.
Sweet. Love that. That's some great stuff. Good points there. All right. So let's talk about, because sportsbooks also offer survivor contests. Now, I know a lot of people know about survivor contests from their office pools and things like that, but quickly explain what a survivor contest is. And I know Circa has a big one. So tell us a little bit about that and what we need to know about that type.
Oh yeah, the survivor contest, which you're picking a team each week and hoping to move on. You can't pick that team again. So and the Circa has a giant one. So there's a lot of strategy involved in these type of contests. Also, Derek actually told me there was going to be maybe a little bit overlay in this type of contest too that they're having down there. So check that out too. Yes, one's 3 million and one's $1 million. So the survivor's guaranteed $1 million. You want to actually again, like that tournament, like that poker tournament, like that strategy, even more so in a survivor contest, you want to have the schedule of every single week in front of you where you're actually going to pick a scenario of what your picks may be for for your entry. Maybe you'll have multiple entries, same thing. What your picks may be, because you actually want to, go ahead, and you don't want to pick, a team like Kansas City week 1 when they're a 10-point favorite, when you are forecasting them to be maybe a 14-point favorite later when you actually want to think what everyone else is picking too. What are they going to be picking that week? So you want to actually go ahead and pick a team each week for yourself, just in a simulated type of way. So you'll at least have a little bit more of a blueprint of what you may do. So survivor contest, fantastic. However, it's not what 99% of the public does. What do? They look at that week's line and they pick a team for that week. Next week comes, I already picked them. No way. If you want to do this with an advantage, you want to do this, being strategic, you definitely want to have the schedule in front of you for every single week, every single team.
That's fantastic advice. I really love that, because you're right. And again, it's like chess, looking many, many steps ahead, thinking about what your opponent might do, looking at those lines down and because in a survivor pool, once you lose, if you pick a team and you lose, you're out. That's it. You're done. Right?
That's right. Once you're out, you're out. That's it. Party's over after you lose a game. You lose 1 week.
Party's over, wrap it up. You're going to have to go to some other contests. Yeah. So you want to plot out the entire year, maybe have a couple of options each week to see exactly which direction you want to go in. And then, of course, you can always manipulate that as you get down the line based on what you see other people doing. And again, going contrarian down the line, right?
Correct. Okay. Absolutely.
Good. I love survivor contests. Those are fun. All right. So you've talked about these overlays a couple of times throughout this session. Now, I'm not quite sure what that means. I don't know if everybody out there knows what an overlay is. So can you tell us what it is and how that affects your strategy, how important it is? Is it important at all?
Well, the overlay we're talking about is downtown at the Circa. Derek Stevens announced this contest before this COVID and before the situation we're in. So he's guaranteed $3 million. And that means that he has to get 3,000 entries just to break even and get the $3 million. And they have about 500 right now. So with a couple weeks left, we have to get 2,500 more entries he has to get to break even. That's not happening. So
wow.
I predict it'll be more in the range of 1,500 to 2,000 entries, which will mean we'll have $1 million overlay. It's $1 million extra in the pool going back to the participants and the winners than there should be, because really $1,000 entry, if you have 500 people, that's $500,000 in revenue they've generated. Well, they should give 500,000 away back. However, this contest they're giving away 3 million.
Wow, that's incredible. So, and like you said, you can win at the top end, or you could be the worst player and win money there too, right?
Yes, they also have it's like a booby prize. They're having like a last place they're giving away. Like I think it's 100 grand. It's 6 figures for coming in last too, which is equally as hard to do. Really, it might be harder to come up with 5 losers every week than winners. So.
Back in my dating life, I could give you 5 losers every week, no problem.
Wow.
All right. So I always love your stories. I love hearing about some of your great gets throughout your career. So I have to imagine, and I actually know, that there is a great get you had here with one of these contests, right?
Well, first let me start off and say my first partner, when I first got into sports betting back in Atlantic City, he showed me the value of these contests. There was a Bally's, which was in Atlantic City. It's still there. They had their first contest. It was called the Bally Bowl, where you had to qualify. You gained free entry. I think you got one free entry just for having a card, but you also gained extra entries by playing in the casino and earning points. And of course, you only had, I think it was a max of 5 entries per player card. And we did that by playing a very strong video poker game called Pick'em Poker, which was a fantastic game. It was like a 99, almost 100% payback game. So literally we literally paid pennies to enter this contest that was worth $50,000 at the end of the year. And they gave away, I'm sorry, it was actually $100,000 contest where they gave $50,000 away the last week of the season for full season, but they also gave away, it was like $3,000 or $5,000 a week. So there was, and they did it right. They spread it along among the top 10 people. So having multiple entries there, I finally learned about contests in Atlantic City playing this Bally Bowl. And luckily enough, in the end, I actually won about 10 grand out of the $100,000 pool, my partner and I. And it was fun too. Every week we were out playing video poker, and we were gaining entries to this contest. We won about a little over 10 grand, actually, the more I think about it, counting all the weekly prizes. There was some strategy there, so we won that. But more importantly is when I first moved to Las Vegas, the M Casino down at the end of the strip, they had $100,000 entry contest where they actually, you had to pay 100 grand. It's a big high roller type of contest. Yeah. The reason why we decided, my partners and I decided to join this though, is because they were having guys like Floyd Mayweather in it. So there was some square money, because anyone coming up with 100 grand, you think they might know a thing or two about this NFL or about contests or in general. So we actually came down to the last week. Our record was 49-36. That goes to show you, we won the contest and our record was 49-36.
Wow.
So after juice, winning about 10 more games than we lost, which is for the NFL is not bad. It's pretty good. However, nothing like this Westgate where they're hitting 77% because there was so much less entries. But yeah, so I got pretty lucky there. And the last week, it came down to one of the last games, finding out if someone was playing on I think it was Palomulo on Pittsburgh Steelers, to see if because he was listed on injured reserve, and to see if he came back that particular week. But yeah, so that came down to almost the last game, and I was happy to say we walked away with the $490,000 first prize.
Wow. So it was $100,000 entry fee and it was a $490,000 first prize?
Yes. It was.
Wow,
Yeah,
now that doesn't seem like a lot, like a lot of people talk about like the entry you were talking about with Circa, that's 1,000 and you could win $1 million. Right. That's a big difference. But are there less people participating in that?
Yeah, there was only a dozen people in this one.
Got
but
it.
People aren't going to come up with that kind of money.
Yeah.
So it was I think there was 10 of us actually that joined. So it wasn't a lot of us, but however, it was in the end it was worth it for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got, that's like kind of what put you on the map, right? Didn't you get a lot of notoriety because of that?
Yeah, I did some interviews there, and I was already doing some local radio, and that year I did Super Bowl Sunday on CNN worldwide. And,
wow.
That kind of started out my my media career. Probably right.
That kind of was it got your foot in the door, the crack foot. Very good. Love that. Yeah. You know what? I am excited about these contests. This is like right up my alley. You know, you're going to see me in Vegas a couple of times. You might have a partner on a couple of these, Crack.
All right.
We'll go in. So great strategy session. Of course, you know, if you have any more questions about these type of football contests, visit our site, WSN.com. We've got lots of information there for you. So you can kind of research which one you want to do. Do you want to do Survivor? Do you want to do the against the spread competitions? All there for you. And then of course, make sure you download the Crackwins app. Give yourself the edge in these contests. It's available on both Apple and Google Play, and you get full access inside the world and the mind of the Crackman with his weekly picks, along with great betting strategies, tips, and insider content. So you get a whole lot more than just about these contests. So now, great strategy, but to build on that, we've got guests this week that actually lie right into that. With a lot of these football contests getting started, Bill went out into Las Vegas this weekend and talked to three of the biggest names associated with those contests. You heard him speak about a few of them. We talked to Jay Kornegay, our buddy who we've talked to before. He's the VP of Race and Sports Operations at the Westgate Superbook. It's not a sports book, it's a Superbook. And then he talked to Derek Stevens as well, who is the owner of the new Circa Resort and Casino, which is opening their new sports book, which is slated to be the biggest and the best in the country. This thing's going to be fantastic. And a kind of a personal favorite of mine, Kelly in Vegas. That's my girl. She was featured with Crack on Showtime's Action docuseries, and she runs a hugely successful proxy service for these contests. So if you're not in Vegas, she can help you out. Let's take a look at what Crack had to say with those guests this week.
Hey, Bill Krackomberger, Wise Kracks podcast here with Jay Kornegay. I wrote some questions down. You can see we're at the Superbook here, getting pumped up for this big contest, getting pumped up for this year. Jay, thanks for joining me.
Sure.
I have some questions. I wrote them down. I'm sorry. I have ADD. I have to write these things down. So let me ask you, since the return of sports, what's been going on? You guys been pretty busy, a lot of volume, or I noticed I was here last weekend, every seat was taken.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. When we first came back and we had, let's say, NASCAR, UFC, golf, all those sports are really considered like second-tier sports, but they probably increased year over year anywhere from 400 to 600%. That's how many people were betting on these sports before the major sports came back.
Wow, good stuff. So, all right, so that's great. Considering the situations, with the pandemic and what's going on in the country this season, how have the sign-ups been going for the Super Contest? Right? Are you happy with them? Has it been going okay?
Well, it is what it is. It's a tough year, and a lot of people aren't traveling. And since about 75% to maybe 80% of our Super Contest contestant base is from outside of Nevada, you know how much that's hurting us.
Oh yeah.
People are not traveling, so I can't say that I'm unhappy. It's just what we were expecting.
Right.
So we are hurting for entries. We're hoping that we get anywhere from 800 to 1,000 entries when we normally have over 3,000.
Right.
But we totally understand it.
Tell us about this, because you just told me about this, and I had to ask you a second time. I said, wait, say that again? So you're having a big promotion this weekend. I'm sorry, a big promotion this season for signups. Tell the people what you mentioned to me. What are you having?
Yeah, Bill, we announced this just a couple of days ago. So anybody that signs up for the Super Contest will receive 2 free nights each week for the entire NFL regular season.
Unbelievable.
So it is. Yes.
So 16 weeks.
You said the same thing others have said. Wait a minute.
Say that
again? Yeah.
Yeah. So 16 weeks, you can get 2 room nights every week for 16 weeks if you want.
Yeah. Right. Based on availability.
Oh yeah. So
no resort fee.
No resort fees.
I mean that's
the big
impressive.
thing.
That's impressive.
Yeah, everyone hates the resort fees.
It wasn't my idea, but I am certainly taking credit for it.
Oh, that's great. So let me ask you this, because I joined the contest every year. So is there a contest within the contest also, or just the one contest? You have another contest here?
Yeah, we have 3 Super Contests.
3, okay.
Actually, we have the original, the classic. That's $1,500.
Right.
All of the format is the same. It's 5 games against the spread, contest line. You get 1 point for a win, half point for a push. Total points for the entire season.
Right.
That declares the the top prize.
Sure.
But we also have the Super Contest Gold. Same format, 5 games against the spread, but it's winner take all. The last couple of years we've had anywhere from a $480,000 winner to a $640,000 winner. $5,000 entry fee, Super Contest, winner take all. And yes, I've seen some guys come right down to the wire and miss by a half a point.
Oh, sure.
And then we have a reboot, which is relatively new. The reboot is a mid-season contest that starts week 9. So if you miss out at the beginning of the season or just having a horrible year, you don't have to be in the original Super Contest to enter the reboot. It's a second half contest from weeks 9 through 17.
Okay, so that's a separate entry fee for the reboot to get in?
Yeah, the reboot's like $500.
$500 just to get in case you didn't do you're not
doing well, or you missed out at the beginning of the season.
At the beginning.
And then of course we have in-season prizes as well. We have quarterly prizes. which total about 540,000. That's guaranteed, and so we reward the top 3 records for each quarter, weeks 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 13 through 16 or 17. I can't remember. The last week is 4 or 5. Yeah, but that's guaranteed money. 100,000 to the top record during that first quarter.
Right.
25,000 for second, 10,000 for third.
When is the latest? When's the latest time we can sign up for the Super Contest this year?
The last day is Saturday, September 12th.
So the day before the season.
Yeah, 11. So even if you miss that first Thursday night
Right.
game, which people do, I understand it. They wait till the last second. The deadline, that means you have to have all the paperwork done, get it in there. You know, it takes about 4 or 5 minutes to sign up.
Sure.
So we got to do our due diligence and get it all done. But the final deadline is Saturday, September 12th, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, great. And I noticed something. The ease of signing up for the contest. I haven't realized that you have proxies that are set up right here.
Yep.
So you come in, you sign up with a proxy, and literally in 15 minutes you could be out of here and you're set for the whole season.
Yeah,
you don't have to set foot in the Westgate again.
These guys are great. They do a
for the
terrific
conference.
job, and they've been doing it for years now. And the proxy service has been part of the Super Contest since the beginning, and that was back in 1988. So the Super Contest has been around for quite a long time.
Oh, wow, that's great. Lastly, I want to say this, to tell the guys home, the viewers home. So I was betting some season win props, some season wins, over-unders. And so I had 3 of them to bet. And I texted Jay, I said, Jay, how much money are you guys going to be taking this year on season wins? And you gave me an answer that I love to hear. How much do you want? And I said, well, 5 or 10K. He said, come on down. So I give you guys a lot of credit for that. A lot of books in town are taking minimal bets on these things, season wins. You guys are once again proving you're the Superbook.
Well, I appreciate that, you mentioning that, but that's all with due respect as well. All right, we really respect you. You're the one that originates line moves, and we certainly respect those. I can't say so much for the ones that chase that stuff,
right?
But those original line moves that, like yourself, we certainly respect, and those type of limits you can get when you are the original line mover.
Right, great. Well, thanks, Jay. Thanks for giving us some time. Appreciate it.
Now, what is this Derek I'm looking at?
Oh, this is my whole season chart right now. This is the high chart here. So you got week 1 to week 17.
Okay.
And if you're going to play a survivor, you really got to key certain weeks. So see right here, this is Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
Week 12.
Yes.
You got to hold back. There's only 6 teams that play on Thanksgiving. That's in the blue.
Oh, okay.
So you got to be careful. You got to hold back Dallas and Washington, or maybe Houston and Detroit, because you got to have an active team ready to go.
Absolutely.
I actually think in the survivor, if you get through week 12, you get over here, well, all of a sudden you've got a real positive, because you can start hedging out with money line.
There's definitely hedges. Of course there's hedging going
that's
on.
the one thing I think a lot of people don't understand about Survivor. The hedge element is easy because at the back end of the season, you're all taking plus money every time. So it's $1,000 entry, and over here, you're always going to have a favorite to have plus money. So you really only got to get through week 12, and you made money on the deal.
So I think it's even going to be an overlay here. Wouldn't you say? You're saying it's going to be close to this one?
I think my true number right now is I think we may get close on Survivor. The Circa Sports Millions, it's a huge overlay.
How many do you have?
5 last year.
Yeah.
And then we thought, okay, let's bump it. So we're going to give away $3 million this year.
Right.
And well, that was before the pandemic hit, so people can't get here.
Oh,
we're going to be way.
You're going to have. Well, you think you'll have a 7-figure overlay? $1 million overlay?
Between the two, I would say yes.
Oh, wow.
We have over $1 million overlay.
I mean, this is great. It's great for me. I'm looking forward to this. I told my guys I'm going to look for a couple other guys to go partners with and stuff. And so this is great. So you guys right now, you actually have you have like 1,000 people. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had it posted up here. I think as of 11 a.m. today, we had like 450 in the millions, and I think we have like 170 in the Survivor.
So 450 in the million. That means to me that you're going to have at least $1 million overlay in the big pool.
Right now we have over $2.5 million overlay.
Yeah.
Now we got a couple weeks to go.
Of course. I haven't joined yet.
I'm obviously pulling some triggers. I mean, I'm trying to buy some advertising, get people out here and things like that.
Oh yeah, no. I'm going to pump this out too on my guys. But well, good. Thanks. And one time we'll love to have you on the podcast one week too. So yeah, great.
Thanks, Kracks.
No problem. Thank you, Derek.
Hey, here with Kelly in Vegas, one of my good buddies in town, and I want to promote her proxy service a little bit, because let me just tell you, it's
the best proxy service. So, Kel, thanks for coming on. And how do we get a hold of you? We can just come down to the Circa or the Westgate and just sign up? You're there?
So I'm not here every day. Got lots of busy things going on, but I'm going to try to have a representative here every day. But I highly recommend, we got 21 days left to sign up for these contests. It is going to be a massive push. So go to kellyanvegas.com, make an appointment on the website, DM me on Twitter, tweet me, whatever you guys do, tweet Crack. He'll get you set up with my phone number, whatever you need, we'll get you guys taken care of.
Oh, great. And this year especially, I just talked to Derek. Wow, what value here at the Circa. This is going to be really good.
I mean, this is Saturday during big contest weekend. We haven't even hit 400 entries yet. Massive overlay. We're talking $2 million as of 21 days out. Good God.
This is going to be a 7-figure overlay. This is really going to be good. And Jay over at the Westgate just told me they have an unbelievable promo too, giving out a free room, two nights a week room. Sign up for the contest and you get 2 nights free per week over there.
During the NFL season, anytime you want to come out, come hang out at the Westgate. They're giving out that. Don't forget, speaking of overlays, Westgate has an overlay as well. $135,000 quarters. There's no way they're going to be able to meet that in the next 21 days. Phil, look, this is overlay city right now.
Wow.
It's a mad dash to see how many signups we can get in the next couple weeks.
You know, I always talk about positive EV on my podcast and stuff. This is really positive expected value here. Expectations here are going to be real high, though. For myself, I am joining as many entries as I can in these contests, and I really look forward to this. But thanks for coming on, and listen, you just fly into town, 15 minutes, you're in and out. Sign up. Kelly's here for that, and looking forward to this year, guys.
Wow, that was so great. I loved all of that, Crack. Great advice from all those people.
Yeah, you know, and what Derek Stevens was saying, if you're not familiar with the terms, he was talking about strategy of going into Thanksgiving, and that is the survivor pool that he's talking about. So just to let people know, because I kind of should have prefaced that in that interview there, but we were under pressure there. A lot of people were around. So yeah, he is so pumped up. He's like a big kid the way he's talking about these contests, and he knows. You know, he actually pulled me to the side and said, "Wow, did I mess up here? I gave all these. I guaranteed that I'm going to cost the company here 7 figures." So he knows this is going to be good. It's going to be. Listen, they're going to build a brand here. They're build their branding. So it's an investment in the sports book and in the sports betting.
Well, you know, and more people throughout following years are going to keep coming and keep playing, and so it'll all bounce back in the way that it's supposed to. So good edit there. All right, so now we come to your picks and plays of the week to come. So, Crack, we've got some good stuff going on right now. So tell us, what's your pick this week? What's happening?
Well, you know, I don't do a ton of future betting, especially in you know certain sports that I don't know if it's going to get it. Like even the NFL, I don't know if we're going to get every weekend. I hope we do, but again, like I said, I don't do a ton of these futures. But this year's MLB playoff format opens it up to there's 16 teams, so which means a lot of these 500 subpar teams are going to be getting into a chance to get into these playoffs. I already took the Brewers at about 30-1. That's still around at about 25-1. I've seen 20-1, but I have also seen a 25-1. There's probably some value in that. And also, there's probably some value in these mid-level teams like the Cardinals, the Padres, the White Sox, the Rockies. They're all sitting around 30-1 or so. So if you can find these mid-level teams, I'm not looking to play these favorites. I'm not looking to bet the Yankees. I'm not looking to bet the Dodgers. I look to play some of these longer shots, and maybe if they even make it there, you can actually do a little hedging and lock yourself up a profit.
Nice. You know, there's 2 things that I like about that. Number one, I told you earlier in another podcast that my mom was all about, she doesn't like blackjack. She likes the games where she gets, like 3 card or let it ride, where she gets a bigger payout. And
the carnival games, we call them the carnival games.
Exactly. Yeah. She was a huge Rockies fan. She was working for the organization on their opening day years and years back. Huge Rockies fan, and so she would love your 30-1 Rockies pick. So maybe I'll go with that just for her because her birthday was beginning of the month. So love that. Anything else that we're looking at this week?
That's really it. We're
Yep.
looking forward to these contests. This pod's on the contest, really. You know me, I hate giving a pick out every week. Sometimes people judge you by a one or two picks, where, meanwhile, at the end of the year, I'm going to have a winning year, or the end of the quarter. So, yeah, that's it. There's a couple little, nothing crazy, just little flyers on those particular plays when you're getting, 20, 30, maybe even more.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why not? Right? Why not
Yep.
on those? So, all right, then we go into our last segment for today. And as always, one of my favorites. It's time for us to answer your Twitter questions from all of our viewers. Love them. So if you have questions, do make sure that you tweet us your questions for next week at WSN Sports, at Rosalie Michaels, or at Bill Crackman, and we're going to do our best to answer them. All right, we've got some good ones for you today, so let's get into it. All right, Jordan Pagel, I like this one because he went specifically towards our strategy session today, which is, how do you approach your strategy if you have multiple entries in a contest? And we spoke a little bit about this, but let's expand on it a little bit.
Yeah, we did, and thanks for that question. Very good, loyal follower here in Jordan. I'll just tell you too. I have, like a couple different people. I'll have my wife sign up with free entries. I'll sign up with free entries. Maybe if my brother comes into town, I'm planning to fly him here. So I do have those multiple entries. What you don't want to do, you don't want to ever give up. So if you have, let's say, like I'm looking to have like these 9 entries that I'm talking about. Plus, I'm looking to have some other people get involved. But you don't want to give up. If you're behind and after week 3 you're 5 and 10, just know that there's still 13 more weeks. See what happens. And as you go further in, if you're still at that type of rate where you're 10 wins and 20 losses, you'll actually start wanting to get into that mode where you're playing catch up and going against the line moves on those particular cards. And you'll want to actually pick the opposites of what you think everyone else is on. So multiple entries there. You'll have your good ones that are doing well, or you keep up with your format of what you're doing, and the opposite will happen on the ones that you're doing bad on. So that's just one little thing I didn't mention earlier, but basically we did answer this question earlier, but there's a couple little tidbits there to catch up on.
No, I think that's an important one too, because a lot of people do. They start out poorly and they're like, they just give up. And it's actually an opportunity, like you said, to really kind of to balance out your cards that are doing good and pick the opposite of that. I love that. I think that's a very, very good point there. Never give up. Always keep trying. All right. So next question comes from Edwin Lord, our buddy. He loves betting on the basketball. And so he's got another good question for you this week, which is, do you think Dallas beats the Clippers? And do you think the Raptors win the East?
Okay, well, let's first get into your Dallas point question. Luka Doncic has been the talk of the playoffs so far, and Dallas has, really given the heavily favored Clippers all they can handle. So that said, the Clippers just won the last game by 40 points. So Porzingis looks like he's not coming back, and Paul George seems to have kind of woken up. So I think the Clippers. I think the Clippers actually end this game on the next end the series on the next game here, and eventually end up in the Western Conference Finals. So
that's a big thumbs down on the Dallas to beat the Clippers.
Yeah. And as far as the East, Toronto, I have Boston to win the East, so I'm rooting against Toronto big time. I know their point guard just I think twisted his ankle and stuff, so I'm rooting against Toronto. Sorry to say, I have Boston at about 8-1 to win the East, so I'm going to stick with my pick there. But at least if Toronto wins, I guess I'll be rooting for that guy that asked the question. Thanks.
Yeah. So and Boston was your pick of the week a few weeks ago. So
yeah,
I can understand.
Yep.
It's still rolling. Let's go Celtics.
Oh yeah.
Still rolling. All right. Last question this week that we have time for. Shawl the Owl 23 says baseball season is almost halfway over. What of the new rule changes have had the most impact on sports betting? Ooh, good question.
Ooh. Well, I mean, the extra innings is probably the biggest impact with the runner starting on second in the extra innings. that has been a game changer for baseball, because you're not earning that double. You're not earning that man on second. You're starting out with no outs, man on second. That's probably been the biggest rule change. No home fans too. Let's face it. That's been a bummer for a lot of the home teams, and they have no one cheering in out. There's certain places are harder to play in, mostly towards college sports and even some of the NBA, NFL. But even in baseball, though, Yankee Stadium, you're out there with those bleacher creatures out there, and in right field screaming and yelling at you and stuff. It's a tougher place to play in. Sometimes Wrigley Field's a tougher place to play in. We all know anything played in Philadelphia any sport is going to be harder. Some of the hardest core fans, as we all know, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus in the stadium. So we know the Philly fans are tough. They're gritty. By the way, I love them though. They are so dedicated. So anyway, that's some of the biggest changes. And there's your answer.
Very good. Great stuff. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we are through week 12. This was a great episode. I love I love talking about football in any way, shape, or form, but especially if I can learn how to make some more money on them. So thank you, Crack. Really appreciate all your great advice this week.
Thank you too, Rosalie. Thank you. And thank you to our guests. We had some unbelievable guests for these 12 weeks. It's just been unbelievable. Today's guests are great. And we can also bring on Derek Stevens. I mean, how many times in life can you bring an owner of a sports book, an owner of a casino onto your podcast? I mean, that's like me going out trying to interview Steve Winter, Sheldon Adelson, these big executives. These guys are into sports. They love sports betting. Derek, and just to give us the run of the house, we're able to go up over to the Superbook any week and tape. We don't have to go through the different levels of people that are paid to say no. We can just go in there happily. Same thing with Derek downtown. Really pumped up for some more good shows and to bring these guys back to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking to coming up there to Vegas and being able to experience that world with you. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so don't forget, join us over at WSN for some great strategy tips, articles. I mean, fantastic. I always say you can click on any state here and figure out and find out what bonuses they're giving away and which sports books are actually booking sports legally in your jurisdiction. Also, my Crack Wins app, great stuff going on. Golf 3-0 again last week. Since the return of sports, it's been unbelievable. All my guys are really happy with me right now. So, and they're going to be, because we win. We're going to win at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year. We're going to have winning plays for all my people. I mean, listen, I'm thrown out of a lot of casinos for a reason. So, good stuff.
Well, that's all we have for this week's episode of Wisecracks. I want to thank you guys for watching each and every week and for all the feedback you give us on Twitter and on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe to WSN on YouTube and to make sure you don't miss out on an episode of Sports Betting Strategy Deep Dive, another special guest, and more picks and plays from the Crackman. We'll see you next week, everybody.